Hi, I'm Tony Rook. I'm Head of Sustainability and Environment at Logica, and I'm a carbon emitter. I recently went to a round table where a leading public figure, who shall remain nameless, once said, "The UK leads the world in targets and rhetoric." I think some of the climate change legislation that's come in is trying to help us go from that rhetoric to achieving those targets. And what I want to talk about is not just the opportunity and the threat, but really, why do we have that regulation? So we can achieve these targets. So we have a target of a 34% reduction at least by 2020 in our emissions in the UK, and an 80% reduction by 2050. I think really I'd like to dwell on the 34% reduction, because the 80% reduction, if we can't make the 34, we're not going to make that. If you look at the makeup of UK emissions, a vast majority of it comes from power generation and the use of power. Also from the use of energy in land travel, in air travel, although obviously not recently, and from energy use in the homes. And then a smaller proportion from commercial industry and commercial operations and industry. So quick wins, opportunities for business, for government, for everyone. Things like energy efficiency are core. So in our homes, making transport more efficient, because things like new solutions like electric cars, like hybrid cars, are not going to come quickly enough and hit a wide enough part of society. But I do agree with our speakers. Ultimately, the quick wins will only take us so far, and we really do need to change the way we do business. We need more collaboration, we need new business models, and we need to look at our businesses in a different way. I'd like to introduce the concept of the 3 Ps, and this one I don't actually mean people, profit and planet. I mean people, profit and politicians. The profit is business. Business is about making money. So in order to actually achieve those targets, in order to achieve carbon reduction, and I agree also other sustainability areas like water reduction and more use of sustainable resources, you need some sticks. You also need some carrots, i.e. ways that actually force businesses to make money in a sustainable way. Those are in the form of regulation, but also in reducing risk and cost. Energy efficiency can help with that. In terms of actually enhancing a company reputation. And also, I think finally, the opportunity is in the rewards. For people, obviously most people react to what hits their pocket. But I think there needs to be more education. Businesses are starting to realise that actually we need to do choice editing. We can't just give the public absolutely everything they want if we want to, as a society, hit our global targets. And with the politicians, it's their job to set targets, to skew the market so that businesses and people can do the right choices and carry on with their business. They also have a part to play in terms of influencing the supply chain. The government in this country has a huge spending power and therefore can set the agenda through its purchasing power. One of my fellow speakers already dwelt on what the politicians are adding up. I think it is actually important to see how much of the politicians' manifesto promises they actually follow through with. And I think actually it'll be interesting to see if they can follow through with them in a hung parliament, should we get that. So post-election, those priorities will be absolutely critical to see what those priorities are. I think the other thing that we want to see more of, and we've got EU-wide legislation at the moment, but we really do need to see more global legislation so that we don't get industry going off to other parts of the world where they can make a profit quicker but in an unsustainable way. You nicked one of my statistics, actually, Adrian. But I won't hold you to it. I was also going to quote the £3 trillion in global economy. It's about 5% of the global economy at the moment. HSBC have also said that they reckon just the climate business is worth about $500 billion at the moment, and it's going to climb to about 2 trillion by 2020. Philips, the electronics firm, they reckon already 31% of their revenue comes from green products, and they're investing a further €1 billion. We've got Walmart pledging to cut 20 million tonnes of CO2 from their supply chain by 2015. Samsung are investing £2.6 billion in this, and they're going to halve their emissions from their factories by 2013. Sainsbury's have invested £16 million in just looking at their dairy farming. Siemens are already reaping billions and billions of pounds in terms of their sustainability solutions. And there are many more organisations out there that are already seeing this as a big business opportunity. Some of the carbon legislation has helped that, but I think it's actually jumping ahead of that, and I think business has gone ahead of the legislation. I think one of the key things that's coming up, though, is collaboration, new ways of working, and I'm already talking to potential competitors as well as our clients, as well as to their supply chain. And it was certainly enhanced in the talk that was given here at this stage previous to this talk, that we do need to work more closely with our supply chain. Marks & Spencer have an interesting set of statistics around the people. 26% of the UK population think that climate change and sustainability isn't their problem. 38% say, what's the point of changing my buying patterns? 28% will say, yes, we'll do it if it's easy. And 8% will say, well, we'll do it no matter what the price is. And I think the key thing that carbon regulation needs to come in, business needs to follow behind it, is actually making it easy. An example, I think, where an opportunity to come in, it's not necessarily a regulation, but it is an opportunity. It was the government recently announced that they wanted to make homes, energy efficiency home loans on the homes, rather than the people taking them out. I think that's an exciting way of the way we're actually changing our ideas. We still need to do more education, and I think choice editing is increasing. So, what is missing, though, from carbon regulation? It's making it much easier for small business. That level playing field internationally, and also that level of investment to bridge the gap. The politicians are already talking about a green investment bank. That will help. There's one thing, though, we haven't really talked about in terms of regulation, and it's a missing piece of the puzzle that didn't come out of COP15 in Copenhagen. An easy win for us globally is stopping deforestation, but we need the regulation, we need the agreements in to do that. So, in recognition of all of that, and in summary, I think the answer is, I certainly see it, regulation as an opportunity, both for my business in Logica, but also I think for the whole of business across the board. The reason that we've got these regulations is to make carbon reductions. Business will need to use that regulation as a guidepost on how to transform over the next few years. But it's definitely an opportunity rather than a threat. Thank you.